Welcome to Reddit After Hours. This is r/today I effed up, where OP accidentally outs his mom to Greek airport agents and gets his mom detained. Our first Reddit post comes from Deleted, titled, "Today I effed up by accidentally teaching my boyfriend's cat that love means shoving her foot in your mouth." So my boyfriend has this little chaos goblin of a cat named Mago. She's a lovable menace with a strong I do what I want energy. Earlier today, she stretched her paw out toward me in that casual I own you way that cats do. And in a moment of pure intrusive thought energy, I jokingly put her paw in my mouth. Not in a gross way, no biting, no licking, just a harmless, non-intrusive thought one, as usual. Yes, I know, it's gross. I fully recognize that cats walk in the litter box. But this was not a logical decision. It was a dumb, impulsive moment. No thoughts. Anyway, she immediately pulled her paw back like, ew, what the F, human? Fair. I assumed that was the end of our weird little exchange. But nope, not even 5 seconds later, she reaches out her other paw, but this time she looks weirdly intentional about it. I laugh, open my mouth again because clearly I've learned nothing, and she straight up willingly shoves her whole foot down my throat like she's trying to check my tonsils. I gag, she looks smug, and I realize I've made a huge mistake. Here's the thing. I don't think she understands why I put her foot in my mouth in the first place. I think she just decided, oh, this is how we show affection now. This is our thing. Like some kind of ceremonial bonding ritual. And now she keeps trying to do it again. Every time I lie down or yawn or open my mouth too wide, she's there. Ready, watching. Toe beans at full extension. This cat thinks that she's unlocked the secret to bonding with humans, and unfortunately, that secret is gagging us with her foot. The truly cursed part is I'm kind of mildly excited to see her try it out on my boyfriend. He has no idea. I can already picture it. He yawns innocently, and suddenly he's choking on a fuzzy toe bean surprise. I've seen the look in her eye. She's just waiting for the right moment. Our next Reddit post comes from It Rhymes with Doom, titled, "Today I effed up by ratting out my own mom to Greek customs when I was 9. This happened when I was 9, but it has never left my brain. My mom took me on a Mediterranean cruise, and one of those stops was to Greece to visit family. My great aunt gifted us some homemade olives. Just a little bag in brine, totally harmless, or so I thought. Customs for cruise passengers usually felt pretty relaxed in my memory. You are not dragging giant luggage around, just day trip stuff. Mom and I had breezed through before without issue. So when the officer asked, anything to declare? Plants, animals, food, local produce? My mom smiled and said, nope. That is when my 9-year-old autistic self, unable to lie or keep quiet, loudly added, but Mom, what about the olives? Instant mood shift. The officer perks up. Suddenly, we aren't harmless tourists anymore. We are possible smugglers. We get pulled aside, bags opened, questions asked, and my mom is scrambling to play it off like some little silly mistake. And because I could not stop there, I also announced that we had fruit sticks, and to me, it was candy. But saying fruit sticks made it sound like smuggled produce. My mom had to fish them out and show them that they were just candy before the officers relaxed. I recall the customs agents being really kind despite being a bit tense, even laughing when I offered to eat the olives so we wouldn't get in trouble. Eventually, they waved us through, but it felt like forever. And to this day, my mom still teases about me being the world's worst partner in crime. I just love how innocent and honest children can be at sometimes. Like, it just makes for some of the most hilarious moments. Our next Reddit post comes from GamerDadJer, titled, "Today I effed up and now I have a medical cup with 3 to 4 inches of umbilical cord in my fridge." So, obligatory, this happened last week. Last Thursday, my son was born. This is my second child, and I have been so excited to meet him. When he was born, at least where I'm located in the US, what they do is cut the cord, then ask the father to come over to cut off a section of cord left on the belly button. After a few minutes of soaking in my son, helping my wife do the same while they put her back together, she had a C-section, and whatnot, I turned to the nurse that had actually helped me cut the cord. Me, "Hey, can I have that section of umbilical cord we cut off?" The nurse, that goes off for analysis. Would you like me to cut some extra?" Me, oblivious, "That'd be great. Yes, please." She comes back a minute later with a medical cup containing the bit of umbilical cord, hands it to me, and all is well. After another half hour or so, we're being brought back and we're just hanging out, and I have the cup of umbilical cord just sitting on the counter at the moment. A little later, my wife's friend is by, and I very proudly show her the cup of umbilical cord. She looks slightly confused and grossed out and asks me why I had this. This is where I tell her that, of course, I wanted to keep a hold of it, just like we did with my daughter. My wife burst out laughing, and after I asked why, she explained that all we kept was the bit that fell off the belly button once it dries up. I can only try to describe to you the combination of confusion, recognition, and embarrassment that I felt. Of course, that's what we did. I remember this. And I asked a poor nurse to just cut me off a little extra for no reason. To the nurse's credit, she was incredibly professional about the situation and never made me feel weird about the request. My wife also found it really funny and kind of sweet. When I asked why in the world she didn't ask the reasoning behind my request, she explained that she knows how I am. I like collecting things like animal skulls, and honestly just didn't really question it. Now I have a container with a section of umbilical cord in it sitting next to my eggs that I don't quite know what to do with. As hilarious as this post is, you at least got to give the guy an A+ for at least putting in the effort to try to do the right thing. Our next Reddit post comes from ShoddyAsk2284, titled, "Today I effed up by accidentally getting my neighbor's cat high and becoming the villain of the neighborhood Facebook group." Yesterday, I was cooking dinner and left my balcony door cracked open. My neighbor's cat, who I'll call Chairman Meow because he basically rules our apartment complex, just strolled in like he pays rent. I didn't think much of it. I was frying onions, scrolling TikTok, just vibing. Then I remembered I had some special brownies in a container on the counter from the night before. I went to go grab one, and the container was already open. The cat ate half of it. I immediately panicked. I Googled, "Can cats get high?" And my search history now makes me look like Pablo Escobar's veterinarian. I wrapped the cat in a blanket burrito and rushed him to the emergency vet. The vet tech looked at me like I just tried to assassinate Garfield. $600 later, the cat is totally fine. Actually, better than fine, because now the entire neighborhood knows about it thanks to the Facebook group. My neighbor posted something like, "Some irresponsible person got my sweet Chairman Meow high on drugs. Be careful who you live next to." Now, half the comments think that I'm a menace to society, and the other half are tagging their friends saying this is peak apartment living. The kicker is that Chairman Meow came back this morning and scratched my door until I let him in. This dude is literally trying to break into my apartment for round two. So now I'm the neighborhood's accidental cat drug dealer. Our next Reddit post comes from Quirky Reception 7087, titled, "Today I effed up by making people think that I was an alcoholic when I actually had migraines." I typically get migraines a couple of times a month. However, about a year ago, I overused ibuprofen to try to treat them, which led to something called rebound migraines, where I have 1, 5, or 6 days a week for nearly 9 months. For those of you who don't know, a migraine isn't just a one-sided headache. They can have many symptoms and often look like a combination of being severely hungover and drunk or having a stroke. Think nausea, vomiting, severe sensitivity to light, yawning constantly, slurring or tripping over words, and struggling with depth perception, so constantly walking into objects. Because my migraines were so frequent, I couldn't take a sick day whenever I had one, and I can only take meds for them twice a week or the rebound effect would continue. So I just had to push through them as best as I could. I never mentioned that I had a migraine to anyone other than my close friends, as I didn't think it was any of their business. As a side note, I'm British and follow the British binge drinking culture, by which I mean I drink very rarely, roughly twice a month. But when I do drink, I get drunk. This is what most young people do, so it's by no means out of the ordinary. I never drink enough to throw up or black out, just enough to be drunk, rather than just tipsy. I'm also compulsively fake being sober because I find being seen as drunk incredibly embarrassing. So when I went out clubbing with people who saw me being, quote, sober after a large amount of alcohol and assumed I had a high tolerance due to drinking regularly. Fast forward to yesterday, after many months about being very strict about limiting ibuprofen and triptans to twice a week, my migraines finally receded back to only occurring a few times a month. Now they're infrequent enough that I can take meds for every single one, so I practically never have migraine symptoms for more than an hour or so. I went out clubbing with some semi-friends that I hadn't gone out with in a while, and when I went to buy a drink, one of them started saying, "Oh no, did you start drinking again? I thought you quit." I was confused and said I never quit drinking or had any intention to, as I drink quite infrequently. In fact, I drink less frequently than most of that group. They go out every single Friday night, while I tend to only go out every other week. They started arguing with me, saying that last year I had been an alcoholic and was extremely drunk and hungover pretty much constantly. I laughed and explained that it was actually just migraines. Half the group believed me, but the other half didn't, and they started arguing between themselves whether I was telling the truth or if they had to do an intervention on me. Although it's nice that your friends care about you enough to want to have an intervention if they think you have a problem, like you said, your medical history is none of their business, so the fact that you even shared it should be more than enough, right? Like, you shouldn't have to show them medication or anything to further prove it. You told them. If they want to believe it or not, that's kind of on them. But anyway, I'm so glad that you're feeling better and your migraines are receding. That is awesome. That was Reddit After Hours, bringing you r/today I effed up. Thank you all so much for listening, and if you like these stories, like and subscribe for more Reddit content.